that when the civilian population has more access to guns, more teens and children die from gun wounds. For example, during the year when over 5,000 teens and children died from gun wounds in the U.S. in Great Britain, when gun ownership is restricted, 19 teens and children died from gun wounds. Last year, the Small Arms Survey concluded that the United States has 88.9 firearms for every 100 people. That's more than Yemen, Mexico, Pakistan, and West Bank, Gaza combined. Yet, there's a buttload... Okay. There's a buttload of research out there indicating that a pinch of gun control would keep us safer and potentially even save our lives. If you compared gun ownership levels with homicide rates, what would you expect to see? Fewer people willing to start a fight when everyone is armed. No correlation at all. Well, not really. In fact, according to decades of data analysis by the Harvard School of Public Health, guns and homicides go together. There's a widespread perception that committing suicide is like planning a wedding or something. You sit down, give it a lot of thought, set a date, and get on with it.
Word. Did you do like clips, or did you keep it as one big thing?
I just kept it as one big thing. Okay, I'll take this.
First speaker from Team B.
First speaker from Team B.
You got 3 minutes.
So, since 1950, every single public mass shooting, with the exception of just one, has occurred in a place where civilians are banned from owning firearms. That was from DoSomething.org. Also, approximately 200,000 women in the United States would use guns to protect themselves against sexual crime every single year. Would you want to take this protection away from those women by increasing gun control? Also, in mass shooting incidents where you had someone with a gun on the premises, you averaged 2.33 people dead. In cases where you didn't have anyone on the premises with a gun, you averaged 14.29. That is a huge difference between those two. And this was from a review of 100 mass shootings. So it's not like this is just a couple of different ideas or topics. Thank you.
Alright, so now we have Crossfire.
Okay. First question. Since when are mass shootings ideas or topics? They are events, so just want to point that out.
Since I began to fall asleep.
Anyway, you mentioned, thanks for ignoring, what do you think about gun control and suicide? Because it's much easier to kill yourself with a gun than with anything else. It's much faster and more effective. So if people want to get the job done quickly, it's a gun and it kills them fast enough.
Yes, I believe that is quite the downside, but
How do we prevent it?
Well, really, one way you could do that is do a background check, but I don't believe...
You could restrict the guns in the homes with people who have depression or
Please do not interrupt. So, I want to ask you a question. You were cracking up a lot during your speech. Do you really believe your side of the speech?
I
or
do.
You think this is a joke?
I do. What I found funny was my word choice.
Alright, so now it's Team A's second speaker, so Kismet.
Alrighty then.
Yep, you got 3 minutes.
So, Team B was speaking about public shootings, massacres with guns. Have you guys heard about what happened in 1996, about a year before you guys were born, if I'm not wrong, in April in Port Arthur, Australia? A man named Martin Bryant took a gun that he legally owned and shot and killed 35 people. After that, in the whole Port Arthur area of Australia, they were putting very severe restrictions on guns, a lot of guns, something like 650,000 firearms, were taken away from people, confiscated, and destroyed. And what was the result in that? Since then, in the Port Arthur area of Australia, there's been a 59% drop in gun homicides, just because there are restrictions on guns and there are less guns available. With that, I would like to add to what Elnaz was saying about suicides. Of about 39,000 suicides per year in the United States, this is according to the Harvard School of Public Health, 20,000 are by gun. Why? Because gun is the most deadly way to commit suicide. Once you pull the trigger, you can't unpull it. Usually there's nothing that could be done. A lot of people who commit suicide, especially using guns, are impulsive, and there has been shown a strong correlation between gun ownership and suicide. Now, these are not the only problems with a lot of people owning guns with no restriction on them. Gun accidents are also common. Now, in the U.S., 270 million civilians own firearms of some form. There are something like 32,000 gun deaths every single year. A lot of these are, unfortunately, homicides, but a lot of these are also accidents. For example, in Arizona earlier this year in August during the summer, a 9-year-old girl whose name was never released, poor girl, was practicing at a firing range with a firing instructor lost control of her gun and accidentally shot and killed him. This could have easily been prevented by not giving a gun to a 9-year-old girl, for example. That is why me and Elnaz actually believe and are not laughing that gun control would be very beneficial to us. Thank you.
Alright,
Alright.
you're up.
Yeah. I'd just like to say my laughing was for my word choice, not for the topic.
You got 3
Yeah,
minutes.
that wasn't your word choice.
Okay, so despite a very strict ban in guns in the United Kingdom and the UK, the overall rate of violent crime, so that is crime when one person's hurting another, violent crime, is about 4 times higher than the United States. In one recent year, there were over 2,000 violent crimes for every 100,000 people in the United States. In America, there were only 466 violent crimes for every 100,000 people in the United States. That's like 5 times the amount of violent crimes. So do we really want to be more like the UK? It was shown in the study by the Harvard University that over 75% of the violent crimes were done using a gun or a firearm of some sort. We are banning guns already. According to the Washington Post, since 1981, 80% of gun shootings, all the guns in the shootings were illegally obtained. So the person who was in the shootings, they couldn't have gotten their guns legally. It was illegal. So the banning guns would have stopped them from getting the guns, but they got the guns illegally. These people weren't getting the guns legally. If people really wanted to get guns, there will always be a second market, a black market in which to get them. And even though no one supports the black market, it is still there. There's no denying it. Thank you.
Alright, now we have Crossfire.
I'd like to start off. Your source said you're talking about children deaths in Great Britain. What is your source for that?
That wasn't in Great Britain, that was in the US, and that was with the article about the 9-year-old girl.
What's your source?
Latin Post.
Yeah.
Latin Post and okay.
It was in several other newspapers as well. That's just a particular one
Okay.
that I used.
Also, you said you gave your key example of Australia, and
It's not just Australia.